For centuries, we've crafted laws to govern society. But somewhere along the way, we turned our legislative genius toward animals, with baffling results. From making it illegal to get a fish drunk to outlawing giraffe parking, we've created a library of pure absurdity. These are 48 of the dumbest, most hilarious, and genuinely unbelievable animal laws that prove common sense is not always a requirement for making the rules. 1. Cattle rustling is a classic Texas crime, but in the Lone Star State, they've also outlawed the pettier version. It is illegal to milk another person's cow. This isn't grand theft, it's lactose larceny. It conjures the image of a shadowy milk bandit sneaking across pastures under the cover of darkness, not to steal the animal, but just to get an illicit cup of fresh cream for his morning coffee. It's not just a crime, it's a profound disrespect for another man's dairy. 2. The town of Wilbur, Washington has declared war on aesthetically displeasing horses. It is literally illegal to ride an ugly horse within city limits. There's no official guide, no government-issued chart of acceptable equine facial structures. It turns every ride into a high-stakes beauty pageant, judged by an invisible, unforgiving panel. You could be trotting along, only to be pulled over because your horse's profile is considered a public nuisance by a bored government employee. 3. The city of Atlanta, Georgia, has addressed a very specific urban planning problem: unauthorized giraffe parking. A local ordinance makes it illegal to tie a giraffe to a telephone pole or a street lamp. This law paints a vivid picture of a bustling city where the main traffic issue wasn't double-parked cars, but improperly secured long-necked mammals. Somewhere, there's a meter maid who had to request a special ladder just to issue the citations. 4. Thinking of buying cowboy boots in Blythe, California? You'd better check your stock portfolio first. A city ordinance makes it a crime to wear cowboy boots unless you own a minimum of 2 cows. This is fashion policing on a whole other agricultural level. Imagine an officer stopping you on the street. "Sir, I'm going to need to see your license, registration, and proof of livestock." It's the only place in the world where your footwear is subject to a background check on your cattle portfolio. 5. Common sense says, don't wake a sleeping bear. But in Arkansas, the law gets oddly specific. It's illegal to wake a sleeping bear for the purpose of taking its photograph. This isn't a law about public safety. It's about protecting bears from becoming unwilling content for someone's mediocre TikTok. It's the world's first anti-influencer law, written to protect a clientele that can and will rip your face off if you interrupt their nap for clout. 6. Some laws feel like they were written by someone whose only goal was to make the world less interesting. Case in point, Alaska, where it's illegal to view a moose from an airplane. Think about that. You're on a scenic flight, you see a majestic creature, and legally, you're obligated to look away. But the law also forbids pushing a live moose out of a moving airplane, a rule that feels less like a state statute and more like a line item on the what not to do list for a cartoon supervillain. 7. In Tennessee, it is illegal to catch a fish using a lasso. Just pause to appreciate the sheer, unbridled audacity that made this law necessary. It means that at some point in history, there was a man, a legend, so skilled with a rope that he was a genuine threat to the local base population. This law doesn't exist to stop amateurs. It exists as a monument to some forgotten Tennessee folk hero who treated the Cumberland River like his personal rodeo. 8. It is illegal in Michigan to tie an alligator to a fire hydrant. This law addresses the very specific problem of reptilian loitering. It suggests a past where the streets of Detroit or Grand Rapids were plagued by improperly parked crocodilians. Did people use them as a bizarre form of anti-theft device for their cars? Was there a rogue alligator owner who simply refused to use designated parking? The possibilities are as terrifying as they are hilarious. 9. And now for a law that reads like a desperate plea from a government that has seen too much. In Oklahoma, you are forbidden from catching fish with certain devices. What devices, you ask? The law explicitly names dynamite, guns, and poison. The state of Oklahoma had to formally put on the record that, no, you cannot use explosives or chemical weapons to procure dinner from the local lake. This is less of a law and more of a deeply concerned intervention. 10. In Ohio, it is illegal to get a fish drunk. This isn't just a quirky suggestion. It is the law of the land, designed to protect the state's aquatic life from the perils of a wicked hangover. It raises so many critical questions. What is a fish's drink of choice? Are we talking about pouring cheap beer into a lake, or have Ohio's trout developed a sophisticated palate for single malt scotch? The law was likely meant to prevent water contamination, but the specific phrasing is a work of art. It protects fish not just from poison, but from making a series of regrettable decisions and waking up in a strange part of the river with no memory of how they got there. 11. In Scotland, it is illegal to be drunk while in charge of a cow. This isn't just a quirky rule. It's a necessary measure to protect bovine dignity. You can just picture the scene. A man, stumbling home after a few too many whiskeys, attempting to give a cow profound, slurred advice on life. The law rightfully recognizes that a 1,000-pound animal should not be subjected to the navigational whims of someone who can no longer locate their own feet. 12. A simple driving rule for Utah. Birds have the right of way on all public highways. This isn't a friendly suggestion to be cautious. It's an absolute legally binding hierarchy. A single sparrow can, by law, halt traffic on a 6-lane interstate during rush hour simply by deciding to take a dust bath. It grants even the smallest finch a level of authority over a 2-ton SUV that most humans can only dream of. The birds of Utah aren't just in traffic. They are the traffic. 13. Here is a law that feels like it was written by a deeply scandalized Victorian gentleman. In Florida, it is allegedly illegal for porcupines to engage in carnal knowledge of one another in public. The sheer formality of the language is a masterpiece, but it raises so many questions. Who is on the Porcupine Decency Committee? And what series of public displays of affection became so flagrant that a local politician had to stand up and declare, "This rampant spiky hedonism must end"? 14. In medieval Britain, your choice of dinner could be a fatal one. That's because all unmarked swans on open water are, by ancient tradition, the personal property of the crown. To kill and eat one was not merely poaching. It was an act of treason. Imagine being a starving peasant looking at a plump, juicy swan and having to weigh your hunger against the very real possibility of being executed for treason. It remains the most high-stakes poultry decision in human history. 15. Every now and then you find a law that feels intensely personal. In New Jersey, it is illegal to annoy a bird in a public park. What legally constitutes annoyance? Giving it a condescending look? Questioning its life choices? I'm convinced this law was written by a man who had his sandwich stolen by a seagull, pointed a trembling finger at the thief and vowed, "There ought to be a law against this," before marching directly to City Hall to make it happen. 16. In the state of Victoria, Australia, they have a very particular view on what constitutes a dangerous activity. For instance, you are legally forbidden from changing a light bulb unless you are a licensed electrician. This frames a simple household chore as a high-risk operation requiring a certified professional. Now, hold that thought, because in that very same state, it is also illegal to fly a kite in a public place if it annoys another person. This puts the simple, joyful act of flying a kite on the same level of legal scrutiny as tampering with your home's electrical grid. It creates a beautiful, baffling legal equivalence where a child with a kite could face the same stern talking to as a guy trying to rewire his own kitchen. 17. Germany takes the emotional state of fish very, very seriously. In a display of profound empathy, the country has made catch-and-release fishing for sport illegal. The logic? It is a form of cruel and unusual punishment. It's considered an act of emotional torment to give a fish the hope of a new life just to snatch it away. So, if you fish in Germany, you are entering into a binding terminal contract. There is no casual dating. You can't just have a brief encounter with a trout, admire its scales, and then set it free. That's psychological torture. It's not the hook that hurts. It's the false hope. The law ensures that every fishing trip ends not with a gentle release, but with a dinner reservation that the fish is legally obligated to attend. 18. Iceland is a country forged by fire, ice, and a relentless work ethic, and they expect the same from their dogs. In a law that perfectly captures the national spirit, it is illegal to own a dog unless it is a registered working breed intended for a job like sheep herding. There are no freeloaders in Iceland, no pampered poodles living a life of leisure. While a Chihuahua in Los Angeles might spend its day in a designer handbag, its Icelandic counterpart is probably clocking in for a 10-hour shift intimidating sheep. This isn't just a pet policy, it's a national economic plan. Every four-legged citizen must contribute. One can only imagine that dog parks in Reykjavik are less about play and more like break rooms where working-class canines gather to complain about their woolly, uncooperative colleagues. 19. The city of Duluth, Minnesota, has taken a firm stance against avian squatters. A local ordinance makes it illegal to allow pigeons to roost on the ledges of your building. The city essentially served the entire pigeon population a citywide eviction notice. You can just imagine a stressed-out pigeon realtor trying to find new homes for its clients. Okay, I've got a charming spot under a freeway overpass. A little noisy, but fantastic access to discarded French fries. 20. In North Carolina, there is a law making it illegal to use elephants to plow cotton fields. This isn't a hypothetical. After the Civil War, one enterprising farmer actually imported elephants to do the work of mules. The experiment was a colossal failure, mostly because the elephants were terrified of the loud machinery. This law isn't just a random absurdity, it's a permanent, legislative monument to a single, glorious, and spectacularly bad idea. 21. Taking an impossible crime and making it even more specific is a special kind of legislative genius. In Tennessee, it is illegal to go whaling. But not just any whaling, it's illegal to go whaling on a Sunday. They looked at a crime that cannot physically be committed in their state and decided what it really needed was a day off. It's a spectacular piece of redundant lawmaking that protects the sanctity of the Sabbath from a threat that never existed in the first place. 22. In Chicago, it is illegal to go fishing while sitting on the neck of a giraffe. Let that sentence sink in. The sheer sequence of events that had to transpire for this to become a law is staggering. It requires a man who not only owned a giraffe in a major metropolis, but also trained it to wade patiently into Lake Michigan while he cast a line from its neck. This isn't just a law, it's the final, infuriating clue to the greatest urban legend that history has forgotten. 23. Remember those brightly colored chicks sold around Easter? In over 24 states, it's illegal to dye a baby chick, duckling, or rabbit. This law exists for one simple reason. Someone, at some point, looked at a living, breathing animal and thought, you know what this needs? To look more like a piece of candy. This is the government having to step in and officially legislate the concept of basic empathy, drawing a firm line between holiday crafts and sentient beings. 24. In Oklahoma, it is illegal to go whaling. Let's be perfectly clear. Oklahoma is the dictionary definition of landlocked. It is a state whose primary geographical features are plains and a profound, all-encompassing lack of ocean. The nearest saltwater is a 10-hour drive away. This means that for this law to be broken, someone would have to somehow transport a multi-ton marine mammal across 3 states, probably in a very large, very conspicuous U-Haul, just for the thrill of illegally hunting it in a reservoir. This law is a monument to preemptive paranoia, a solution to a problem that exists in a parallel dimension where Oklahoma has a coastline and Moby Dick has a summer home on Grand Lake. 25. In Massachusetts, there exists a perfect urban legend that it is illegal to swear in the presence of a cow. While the actual laws are standard anti-cruelty statutes, the legend is infinitely better because it's not about physical harm, but emotional distress. It suggests a world where bovine feelings are legally protected. Picture a quintessential New England farmer having a terrible day. A cow kicks over a full pail of milk. The farmer opens his mouth to unleash a torrent of barnyard profanity. But then he catches himself. He looks into the cow's big, placid eyes and remembers the law. He can't risk a lawsuit for creating a hostile work environment. It imagines a legal system where a cow could take the stand, with a court-appointed translator communicating its deep emotional wounds to a jury of its peers. 26. In Kingman, Arizona, it is illegal for a donkey to sleep in a bathtub. This sounds like a law written by a random word generator, but it has a shockingly specific origin. A local rancher had a donkey that loved to sleep in an old, discarded tub in a dry wash. One day, a flash flood swept the tub and the napping donkey downstream, requiring a full-scale town rescue. The town's response was not a parade, but a law, ensuring that this exact 1 in a billion scenario could never happen again. 27. In Turin, Italy, owning a dog comes with a legally binding contract for cardio. You are required by law to walk your dog at least 3 times a day or face a significant fine. This isn't a friendly suggestion, it's state-mandated exercise. You can imagine a special canine patrol unit monitoring the parks. Sir, our records show Fido's step count is critically low for a Tuesday. We're going to have to issue a citation for insufficient sniffing. It's a dog's paradise and a lazy owner's personal hell. 28. In France, the hierarchy of the railway is not what you'd expect. By law, train operators must give the right of way to any snails on the tracks. That means the TGV, a marvel of engineering that travels at nearly 200 miles per hour, can be legally brought to a screeching halt by a creature whose top speed is 0.03 miles per hour. This isn't just a rule. It's a profound national commitment to taking things slow. It's a law that could only exist in a culture that views a 2-hour lunch as an efficient use of time. 29. In Alabama, it is illegal to engage in a wrestling match with a bear. This seems obvious, but the legal interpretation is where it gets brilliant. Imagine a bear ambushes you in the woods. Your instinct is to fight back. According to the state of Alabama, you have just initiated an unsanctioned sporting event. In the eyes of the law, you aren't a victim. You're an illegal combatant. You could survive the mauling only to be charged with a misdemeanor for your part in the brawl. 30. Thinking of a night at the movies in Baltimore, Maryland? Better check your +1. It is strictly illegal to take a lion to the theater. The specificity of this law is what makes it a work of art. It forces you to imagine the incident that made it necessary. Was a lion roaring during the climax of a romantic comedy? Was it refusing to silence its cell phone? Or was it the constant distracting crunching as it worked its way through a family-sized bucket of popcorn and, presumably, the person in the next seat? 31. In the United Kingdom, you must prevent your pet from mating with a pet from the royal household. This is not a joke. It is an act of canine treason. Imagine your scrappy terrier seeing one of the Queen's blue-blooded corgis across a park. You have a legal duty to prevent that romance. This law creates a rigid, monarchy-based class system for pets. It's a magnificent rule that protects the royal bloodline from being diluted by a charming but ultimately unsuitable commoner mutt. 32. Picture a modern Nevada highway, a self-driving Tesla, a river of commerce and technology. Now picture a camel standing in the middle of it. This exact scenario is why it is illegal to drive a camel on a Nevada highway. This law is a legislative ghost from the 1800s, when the U.S. Army's experimental Camel Corps was disbanded, releasing the animals into the desert. For a time, camel-induced traffic jams were a real and present danger, and this law is the permanent bureaucratic scar to prove it. 33. In the United Kingdom, the Salmon Act of 1986 makes it illegal to handle a salmon in suspicious circumstances. The law provides zero clarification. Is the salmon wearing a disguise? Is it attempting to pass a forged check at the fish market? Is it exchanging a tiny waterproof manila envelope with a notoriously shady sturgeon? This law has forced me to view every salmon as a potential international operative. They're not just swimming upstream, they're up to something. 34. If your dog in China wants to start a family, it first has to navigate a mountain of red tape. As part of the country's strict regulations, a dog needs an official birth permit from the government before it can legally have puppies. I'm not joking. It elevates the birds and the bees to a level of soul-crushing bureaucracy. Listen, Rex, when a mommy dog and a daddy dog love each other very much, they first have to file Form 11B in triplicate and get it approved by the Committee for Canine Procreation. 35. The government of Queensland, Australia, is engaged in a full-scale zero-tolerance war against rabbits. They're considered a catastrophic pest, and owning one is a serious crime with a massive fine. It's a total, unwavering ban. Unless you're a professional magician. I am not making this up. The only people legally allowed to possess a rabbit in Queensland are practicing illusionists. This law essentially codifies that a rabbit's only legitimate purpose is to be pulled from a hat for applause. All other rabbits are fugitives living in the shadows of the law. 36. Let's travel to Devon, England, for a law that could only have been written by a smug cat in a tiny smoking jacket. In Devon, it is illegal to interfere with a cat while it is stalking pigeons. The cat is there, in its element, a perfect predator about to fulfill its destiny, and you, the human, are legally required to stand by and let nature take its brutal, feathery course. If you yell, "Shoo!" to warn the birds, you are not a hero. You are a criminal, charged with obstruction of a feline's official business. Uri, 37. We've seen some bizarre fishing regulations, but this one from Illinois feels deeply personal. It is illegal to fish for trout while wearing a bow tie. This is so specific, it must have been created to target one particular offensively dapper gentleman. I picture a local lawmaker seeing this man on the riverbank, adjusting his silk bow tie before casting a perfect line and thinking, absolutely not. We will not have this level of aristocratic elegance sullying our blue-collar pastime. It's sartorial-class warfare, fought on the water. 38. Florida is a state that plans for every conceivable absurdity, including, it seems, an elephant parking epidemic. An old law dictates that if you tie an elephant to a parking meter, you must pay the fee just as if it were a car. The sheer, business-minded pragmatism is incredible. They didn't ban it. Their first instinct was to figure out how to tax it. This law stands as a glorious testament to Florida's unwavering commitment to finding revenue streams in the middle of absolute chaos. 39. According to California law, driving with an unrestrained bear in your car is illegal. This seems fair. But here's the beautiful loophole. It's perfectly legal as long as the bear is in a cage. This distinction is a masterpiece. A loose bear is a public menace and a felony. A caged bear is just your eccentric, furry passenger. It draws a very fine legal line between dangerous wildlife incident and a quirky road trip with a friend who sheds a lot and prefers the windows down. 40. In the state of Washington, it is illegal to knowingly harass Bigfoot. Let that sink in. The government has passed formal legislation protecting a creature it does not officially recognize as real. This is a spectacular piece of bureaucratic hedging. It's the state of Washington planting its flag and saying, look, we're not admitting he exists, but if he does, we want it on the record that we were on his side from day one. It's the world's first and only law that protects a mythological creature from being pranked. 41. There is a piece of Louisiana folklore so perfect, it deserves to be real. The legend says it's illegal to gossip in front of a frog. This paints the bayou as an ancient, swampy intelligence network. Every frog is a potential informant. every lily pad a listening post. You whisper a secret to a friend? The bullfrog by the cypress tree just logged it. This isn't just a quaint tale, it's a warning that in the bayou, the walls don't have ears, the amphibians do. 42. In France, a country that fiercely defends its national honor, it is illegal to name a pig Napoleon. This law was originally meant to protect the dignity of the former emperor from slander. But extending that courtesy to livestock is a stroke of pure genius. Imagine being a farmer, looking upon your most ambitious, most strategically minded pig, and knowing in your heart that if you give him the name he so clearly deserves, you could be arrested for treason against the Republic. It's a law that denies a pig its manifest destiny. 43. The city of Little Rock, Arkansas, enforces a strict canine curfew. It is illegal for any dog to bark after 6 p.m., not bark excessively. Bark, period. Imagine you're a dog in Little Rock. You've had a long day of important dog business. The clock strikes 6, and you are officially gagged by municipal order. A squirrel could be breakdancing on your lawn, and all you can do is give it a furious, silent glare. It is a profound violation of a dog's inalienable right to yell at things for reasons only it understands. 44. We all know the classic story. Dog chases cat up a tree. In International Falls, Minnesota, they decided that narrative needed a plot twist. A local ordinance makes it illegal for a cat to chase a dog up a telephone pole. This law is a monumental victory for every small dog that has ever been terrorized by a neighborhood tabby. It acknowledges a world where canine victims need legal protection from roving gangs of feline aggressors. And I, for one, support this quest for justice. 45. A fantastic legend from Connecticut claims it was once illegal to educate a dog. Whether it was ever a real enforced law is irrelevant. The concept is magnificent. It suggests a deep-seated paranoia. What were they afraid of? A canine enlightenment? A pack of well-read poodles learning about labor laws and unionizing for better treat-to-walk ratios? This wasn't about keeping dogs dumb. It was about preventing a full-scale, intellectually superior four-legged revolution. 46. In Switzerland, it is illegal to be lonely if you are a guinea pig. Under strict Swiss animal welfare laws, social animals must be kept in pairs or groups. You are legally forbidden from owning just one. This is a government-mandated friendship program, enforced by the state. I picture an agent from the Ministry of Rodent Well-being conducting house calls. Sir, we have a report of a solitary cavy on the premises. You have 48 hours to secure him a suitable companion, or one will be appointed to him by the state. 47. If your dog has a taste for fine tobacco, Zion, Illinois is not the place for you. In that city, it is illegal to give a lit cigar to a dog, cat, or other domesticated animal. The fact this had to be explicitly outlawed is a sobering monument to human decision-making. It means that at some point someone looked at their golden retriever lounging by the fire and thought, you know what he's missing? The rich, complex flavor of a hand-rolled Cuban. 48. The city of Pacific Grove, California, is known as Butterfly Town, USA. And it is a title they defend with extreme prejudice. A local ordinance allows for a $1,000 fine for anyone convicted of molesting a monarch butterfly. Let's just all agree that if your actions toward a beautiful, fragile insect can be accurately described with that specific verb, you have much bigger problems than a city fine. This law stands as a permanent testament to the fact that for every wonder of nature, there's at least one person who needs to be legally warned not to be weird with it. These laws are more than just historical quirks. They're monuments to our bizarre need to control everything, even the impossible. Answer this in the comments. Which of these 48 laws is the undisputed champion of dumb? Defend your choice. For more deep dives into structured absurdity, subscribe and hit the like button.